Everybody, how's it going? Big time. I'm not going to apologize. I'm just going to say I was given an opportunity yesterday and I shot for it, went for it, and it worked out. So, John Fitch and I have agreed. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I was on Rule Zero yesterday. Very, very awesome topic. We discussed dating in the United States currently. It was good. Yeah, I highly recommend. Go over to Modern Life Dating's YouTube channel, Modern Life Dating, and watch the episode from yesterday. Rollo, myself, Ryan Stone, and John were live yesterday discussing the current market in the United States as far as dating is concerned. And of course, as always, with Rollo on there, with Ryan Stone, with John, amazing red pill truth bombs just being dropped. So it was cool. With that said, John Fitch and I have decided, actually, since there are no other red pill-esque type of shows on Sundays, we might as well come to you guys on Sunday instead. So, major announcement at this point in time. We will be switching Red Pill Smash Bros. To Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, hopefully. Yeah, absolutely. I like it a little bit better. Anyway. I woke up this morning and I was like already in the zone, feeling freaking good. Hopped in the IR sauna. Threw some sweet sweat all over my body. You ever use that stuff, or did you ever have to use any type of like cutting, like water dropping type of stuff?
It's good that you brought up cutting. For cutting weight, I used Albaline.
Yeah, so Albaline and sweet sweat are pretty close. This is just a little bit different of a compound.
I'm working with. I just found an editor yesterday. I have my weight cutting book. I'm gonna try to get that ready. I don't know if it'll be done before Christmas, but I have a book where I just wrote my process through the 6 to 12 weeks of training camp with diet and what I do all the way up till fight night with how I cut weight, what I do with food, just kind of basic outline. Thought it might be interesting for some people. Kind of see what it's like.
Yeah.
To get down to weight successfully. 17 years of making weight every time.
Yeah, you don't have any experience in that whatsoever, do you?
Yeah. So I'm not even putting like science or whatever to it. I'm just like, okay, this is what I do.
Yeah, prescription. You don't need to fucking know the science. Just do it.
I do. If you try it out.
Yeah.
I would experiment with it because everybody is a little bit different. But I think a lot of people unnecessarily struggle with cutting weight. A lot of it's just discipline, and everybody's looking for a shortcut, and everybody's looking for the next fad thing to do that's easy. But there's no easy. There's just the disciplined way.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, cutting weight is probably the hardest thing in the world for me. I don't know. I don't know why. I think it just takes time. I remember
it goes against the rule number 1: survive.
I agree. Yeah. Especially
cut down on your meal portions, and then dehydrate yourself so much you're close to death.
It's literal death. Yeah, we got Conk up in the chat right now. I think he's on day 2 right now of his 7-day fast.
7-day fast.
He's a fucking maniac. Good for you. I actually have a friend who did 30 days. He did a 30-day water fast. I don't recommend this for anybody out there. Just to let you know.
Do you have to have like a certain amount of fat before you start something like that?
He lost all his muscle, dude. He looked so terrible afterwards. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, dude, why would you do that? He's like, it was enlightening. What do you got to talk about too? Yeah, exactly. The concept. This is the way I try to operate with everything too. Everything I do. And anything I try to teach people, it's easy. Well, I shouldn't use the term easy. It's simple.
Yeah, simple.
Simple, but
it comes down to discipline. It comes down, can you do these simple things every single day for an extended period of time?
Absolutely. And it's not easy. It's gonna test you hardcore.
Well, especially nowadays, people don't have that ability to have delayed gratification.
Right.
They don't want they need it now. If they do something, they need that reward now.
Right. 37 hours right now, Conk says. Yeah, that shit's crazy, dude. Like I said, longest I've done is about 90 hours at this point in time. And I felt great. Yeah, everyone's going to talk about feeling great, and I'll give you guys kind of the science-ish behind it. Your digestive tract, especially the way that we Americans eat, a third of our calories go to digestion alone, if you think about that. And we're eating every single day. When you don't eat, you finally give your body the ability to like fully process and go through. And kind of relax for a little bit too, right? You take pressure off of that digestive tract. This guy that I was telling you about who did 30 days, I think he ended up doing 34 total days of water fasting. He ended up losing, he lost 40 pounds. Not good 40 pounds either, right? He looked terrible. But
this just sounds bad.
Yeah, but what he was saying was he learned a lot, right? So I get it. I get why people do it, whether it be spiritual, testing the boundaries, I'm all about that stuff. However,
a good mind fuck every once in a while.
Yeah, get uncomfortable. Figure out ways to get uncomfortable. My way of getting uncomfortable usually is breaking the stigma in my own mind of what my body type is capable of doing, right? So running a half marathon or running a triathlon in under a certain amount of time, or even jujitsu and all this other stuff. I try to go and do things that I'm not supposed to do because feast and famine cycles, absolutely love it. Big fan, gigantic fan of doing that as well. But yeah, that's what I try to do as well. The thing is too, this guy, what he was saying was because his digestive tract was no longer operating at that constant cycle, he could only sleep for 4 hours a night. He would sleep 4 hours a night and he'd wake up feeling fully rested, and he would wake up and just go right into direct mode of just going. And that's crazy to think about if you really
That's
do sit
interesting. Herschel Walker, he came out to American Kickboxing Academy some years ago. He had a couple fights for Strike Force back when it was still running, and he was one of those guys who only ate once a day, just mostly soup and salads. He only did push-ups and sit-ups, body weight exercises. And
yeah, you're telling me, because that's how his upbringing was.
Yeah, he only slept.
And he would always push through no matter what. And he was, what was he
4
fighting
hours a
well into
night.
his fucking 40? He was fighting into his 40s?
Strike Force at 47, I think.
God damn, dude. Yeah, that's
He's
just
a beast.
genetic.
I have on my YouTube channel, official John Fitch, and I have these lost tapes episodes, and they're old videos I found from 2010 ish of me working out and sparring and rolling with people, and I have a video up me grappling with Herschel Walker. He's just a beast. It's crazy.
Yeah. I tried to just recently start to do a 6 day on, 1 day off as far as fasting is concerned. So 6 days eating, 1 day fasting. Something I definitely like to bring in. Autophagy is something that is highly underestimated when it comes to fasting as well, or just in general. So if you guys don't know what autophagy is, and this is why fasting is really tying very well into preventative medicine, is like I just said, your digestive system, you got to think about your body operating as a machine, right? If you're sitting there and you're just eating constantly, and you got to think about how the average American eats too. They're not eating, they're stuffing their body full of toxins, right? If they were a waste management plant, they would be at full capacity all hours of the day practically, right? So what that means though is if your body is sitting there having to deal with the direct environment of what you're putting into it, it's not having to deal with the underlying cycle. So the other thing you have to understand is we operate like a computer system. Your DNA is a code. Okay, and you're obviously going through mitosis constantly, right? Your body is constantly trying to replace new cells, worn down cells, broken cells in order for you to continue life. That is the cycle of life. Now, the thing is, and this is what most people don't realize about cancer. Cancer is not like it's a disease in the sense that it's a degenerative function in your body, but cancer is not for a long time I thought cancer was like a virus, if that makes sense. It's you contract it. Okay? But cancer is not something that you catch. Cancer, believe it or not, is this. It's years and years and years of your body copying. It's when your telomere strength fucking lowers, right? And or your DNA copies itself wrong. Okay, so what happens is your body, obviously with mitosis, the cell separates and it duplicates its DNA, right? But before that, there's a series of tests, right? Your body is constantly back checking. Is this DNA strand proper? Is the DNA sequence in direct or correct order? Is it a perfect copy? Is it a perfect copy? Are there zero flaws, right? And then sometimes, every once in a while, it will fuck up, right? And it'll let it go. But autophagy is supposed to be meant to go back and delete the things that made it through kind of the what's it called? Yeah, exactly. Deformed cells. It's but what happens is this. So with cancer, and this is what I'm talking about, when you don't allow your body to go through some form of autophagy, right? And it's focused directly on the initial threat of all the toxins it's putting in. Years and years and years of your body duplicating cells that have improper genetic coding. And usually, obviously, you know, it sticks around because cells are kind of in their own spots in your body. That's why a tumor forms, is because they're all the deformed cells. And then your white blood cells are not able to go in and all this other stuff, right? So that's what cancer is, essentially. And that's why lately what we're seeing is, with this big boom in intermittent fasting and all this other stuff, you're starting to see the body go back to a form of optimization, where it's literally operating at optimal levels. And that's why fasting really is a phenomenal aspect to bring into your life. It's just, the problem is, like Jon just mentioned, dude, I got a McDonald's literally fucking a quarter mile away from me. You know, there's donuts right next to it. There's a Pizza Hut right next to it. It's like, oh, I don't feel like cooking. What can I do? You know what I'm saying? Like, but you got to think about this for most people. Most people aren't even like, oh, I don't feel like cooking. Most people are like, I'm going to get that, because they're fully addicted, you know?
It's such a food addiction in our country is such a normal thing. It's become so normalized. Like, if you say something about it, people will attack you.
Right.
You're an obesity phobe or something.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, this is kind of what we talked about a bit yesterday on Rule Zero.
Fat shaming
was, especially because this really does come from the feminine side of people. It's like, you're supposed to accept me for who I am. You're not supposed to be able to put parameters. Yeah, you're not supposed to put parameters on me.
Girl, they're like, you need to accept me the way I am, but you need to be above 6 foot. And
well, what we can really start to look at it as too, Jon, is this. You got to look at it as, again, because we do break everything down to biology. It's survival, because in a way, security equals survival for women, at least, right? And that's where the downfall is in our society today, is we've become so secure. We've allowed the feminine to take over almost everything. Like, I call it bubble wrapping society. We fail to realize that discomfort is actually what causes growth, though. So now we're sitting in an environment, we're sitting in a society where people are actually starting to decay due to their decadence, because they're not sharp enough to really be able to handle the realities of the world today. It's almost like they're so secure and so safe that they're literally becoming comatose and, you know, vegetableizing themselves, if that's even a word, from the reality of life. Like, it's almost like giving a plant too much water. You know what I mean? Like, the plant is probably like, yes, more water, that equals growth. But the reality is, it's like, no, it's too much water. That's actually death. So that's kind of where we're at, I think, today. Hey.
Yeah, it's highly feminized.
Very feminine perspective. All right, so we got some comments here that I could read off if you feel like doing that. All right, you have you have to get through the first 3 days, and then it becomes sort of easier. Yeah, I agree. I think day 2 is always the hardest. Day 1, you have a lot of strength. Day 2, you're like, oh my God, shit. Day 3, you're like, all right, I'm in it. And then, like I said, I hit day 4 pretty much, and I already had my game plan because I was trying to start the OMAD diet and stuff all my fucking calories and macros into one meal. That was awful. Never again. Fasting can reset the ANS, autonomic nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic, fight flight response. In the past, I fasted for 12 days max, water fast. Good job. Conk, are you doing any tea at all? Because I would always do tea to kind of quell some of my hunger and just to have something to break up the.
That's something that coffee is something I do fight week because it does quell hunger.
Yeah.
Warm cup of coffee.
Well, it has a diuretic aspect to it too, for sure.
Yep.
Yep. Eat your own dead sick cells. Perfect. Yep. Also makes insulin reset to normal sensitivity. 100%. I'm the 9. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Go ahead. I'll read off more
short
after.
Fast on Saturday, Sunday mornings. So I won't have anything but coffee until around 2. At least. I've been liking that.
Yeah. I really do. I love. It's something I brought into my life probably about a year and a half ago. But I love doing. I work out in the morning usually, and I love doing fasted workouts now. I feel like my workouts are way better. Not putting anything into my body, aside from a pre-workout. By the way, if you guys, I got Gorilla Mode, which is the flanker of Gorilla Mind Rush. Gorilla Mode is a pre-workout supplement. It's awesome because it's a nootropic used for a pre-workout. So it's not anything where you're going to get like, I was taking something else before that. I think, yeah, you don't get the jittery. You don't get that crazy, like, I call it the rocket, where it's just like, you're like, oh my God, this is fucking epic.
Take Rip Fuel.
Oh God. Rip Fuel? Yeah. Rip Fuel, Red Line a long time ago. No Explode, which would make you fucking explode in your pants.
We would do the Rip Fuel and go out to the bars.
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, ephedrine, when that shit was legal, oh my God, ephedra, yeah, ephedrine. I love that stuff. I loved it. I actually still wish it was fucking legal, to be honest with you. No, seriously, I mean, it's a bronchodilator. It wasn't anything terrible, but it's just like, this could probably get us fucking banned, but whatever. I don't give a fuck. It's just like with Molly or what's the actual ecstasy, like the original stuff, not the actual MDMA, like the ecstasy that was cut with different stuff.
Yeah.
The reason why ecstasy was so bad for people was because it raised your body temperature. Well, and it also raised your fucking brain temperature. And if you weren't hydrated and you didn't have electrolytes, you got to think the body's an electro circuit, right? Yeah. If you don't have the electrolytes, which allow for the current to be conducted, and you don't have the water, which is the most fucking, aside from gold, right, is the most conductive thing out there. What are you going to do to your fucking operating system? That's all you had to say. Like, hey guys, if you're going to fucking take this stuff, like, make sure you're fucking hydrated and you're not eating way too much sodium and you drinking fucking soda all the time. But at the same time too, I am not a fan of warning labels. I'm, Darwinian in that aspect. It's like, if you're going to be that stupid where you can't take care of your own survival and you're just going to keep flooding your system with this shit, like, hey, safe travels, my friend, to the afterlife. You know what I mean? Like, this is part of fucking survival. It's part of survival. You like base instinct stuff. You like, you know what's good for you. It's just, what choices are you making?
Well, I think that's the problem. Is some people switch that mindset. They don't put survive as the rule number one.
Right.
They're trying to feel good. I just want to feel good. I just want to be happy. So I just keep taking these things and these pills and feel good rather than going out and doing shit that gives me purpose with my life.
Snake juice. Yeah, I've heard good things about snake juice too. I believe the guy who came up with snake juice, he claims to have cured his herpes by drinking snake juice.
What?
Yeah, or the snake diet is what I'm probably referencing, not snake juice. Snake juice is water mixed with sodium, potassium. Terra Enigma says, yup. I don't know what you're saying yup to. I think that might be to the snake juice and the herpes, but...
That sounds suspect.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the same time, too, I've had people in some circles that I've intertwined with that have cured their hepatitis C with ayahuasca and different stuff like that. I think, again... I believe in this stuff. I really do. I think that everything is reversible in this world. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's just, Cole Robinson, the snake diet guy. But the other thing too is spiritual and mental. Like if you believe it, if you can bend your reality. You know what I mean? If you go at something and you go at it in a way, right? I mean, there's some things that you're not going to be able to, what's it called? Methylene methamphetamine. Cool. What is that? MDMA? I don't know. Sorry. MDMA. Yes, exactly. Good. Thank you. I didn't know the whole fucking, what's it called?
Science, bro.
Yeah, science, bro. Where were we at before that? I was talking about snake diet guy, but yeah, I've heard some cool stuff with that. I haven't personally tried it, so I can't personally recommend it. I don't know if it cures your herpes, so don't fucking take my perspective of that. But I do think that there things are out there that you could do those things. Honestly,
that's interesting.
I think so. I just got this red light too. Maybe I can pull it over to show you guys. Just got this red light with IR. I don't know if this is gonna. That's the IR. Oh dang! Oh my god! Oh. There's the IR. There's the red light. 300. I think it's 300 hertz. 300 watts. Sorry. Yeah, pretty good. I've been rocking and rolling with that.
Is that for you or is that for your weed plants?
That's for me personally. I've heard good things about red light therapy. I have friends that have like an actual wall that is all red light that they just kind of like sit in front of like naked. That's my dream to have something like that. I don't know what
you would call them, but they have places around here, studios or you go in and they have little chambers.
So I sit in my little
sunning tan bed. They have the different red light.
Yeah, I love, and as you guys could probably tell, I tan. I started tanning a while ago when I was big into bodybuilding and was considering competing and all that stuff, actually getting on stage. And I realized that the tanning beds for some reason really put me in a state of not hypnosis whatsoever. It was like a meditation. And my cells like thrived off of it. And most people are like, oh, you get cancer from all that. I already told you guys how you get fucking cancer, retards. I hate people that are like, oh, you're going to get cancer from that. Like, you don't get cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, putting toxins in your body allows you not to go into autophagy, right? That's how you fucking get cancer. So don't let somebody
garbage.
Yeah. Don't let somebody come up to you and be like, "Oh, that gives you cancer." Right? I've known people that have smoked fucking Marlboro Reds 2 packs a day for fucking 70 years that lived to 92. But dude would fucking literally intermittent fast, drink his coffee in the morning, wouldn't eat, would work hard in the morning all day long, right? Would eat a clean fucking diet and was stuffing his body with those toxins. But guess what? Because his body was a fine-tuned machine, it was able to deal with that toxin that was being fed into it every single day. That's why he didn't get cancer. But you couple fucking smoking, drinking alcohol, eating a shit diet, and then sitting in a sedentary fucking lifestyle in a corporate office where you don't get any actual real light throughout the day. That's fucking cancer, motherfucker, right? In front of throw all those environmental factors in, just beating up your body, and you have a shit immune system. Yeah. All right, cool. Yep. And then obviously not fasting every once in a while. Okay. So I don't know. I like that little tangent. I'm proud of it. Gold star for me today. Shit. Yeah, so there's my little red light thing. I'm trying it out. I'm testing it out. I'm trying to be open to whether or not anything really changes. Love tanning, like I said. I just noticed a big difference in how I felt from it. And especially during the if you damage your skin cells and they continue to duplicate, it can, but it would have to be massively overdone. Agreed. Yeah, exactly. Don't be stupid about it. Don't go in a tanning bed for fucking 3 hours a day. Don't go, every single day.
Don't be the leather skin guy.
Exactly. But, small doses of that stuff is actually good for you. It's just like with my diet, 80%, just like you kind of do too, John. It's like 80% of the time I'm eating fucking perfectly healthy, and then another 20% I'm fucking doing whatever, because I want my body to also to be able to deal with not having a perfect environment all the time, because we don't live in a perfect environment. You got to have the immune system built up. It's like people are always like, I was a Marine. 5-second rule for food was like the fucking commonplace. You drop your food on the ground, you got 5 seconds. Pick it up and eat it. Like, no big deal. I still live by that to this day, too, to be honest with you. I do a whole bunch of stuff.
Your floors should be clean anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
what are you doing living in a filthy house?
and even if like it's a little bit of dust or dirt or whatever, it's still a part of your environment. You're breathing all that shit in anyway. Like, people get all crazy, but you know how much fucking fecal matter you know how much poo-poo you're breathing in? Yeah, 5-minute rule, bro, for sure. We can have a vice or two as long as we maintain good health. Generally speaking, don't do heroin, kids. Yeah, you know, a little heroin never hurt. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a couple,
There's some drugs that I don't fuck with.
There's a couple things you probably just steer clear of.
Right, like meth. I don't know if you've seen fucking these guys.
They seem like I've never heard like a good story out of those things. So
right, yeah. There's like there's wandering too far in the darkness,
100%,
and those are
like 100% failure rate is something where you should be like, yeah, no thanks. So crack cocaine, heroin, and meth.
Yep. Never tried crack.
100% failure rate.
Never tried heroin. Never tried meth.
Like, oh man, yeah, it was great, but that was enough. Or somebody who like did it for a little while and then stopped and they're fine. Like, just never. No, it was always awful, always awful end result.
Yeah, meth is huge around here too, and you literally see people walking around like one shoe on. It's in the middle of fucking winter. They're in fucking pants or in shorts. They're dirty as hell. Smell so terrible, and they're fucking screaming. They're screaming at the sky. Like, I don't envision that for my life. I don't want to be. I get it. Yeah. I see how you wandered down that road, but there was a step in that process where it could have been like, yeah, you know, I'm just not gonna. Yeah, no, we're good there. We're good there.
No, we're good. I don't feel like that's something that, you know, yeah. Like, how can somebody not recognize? That's just like, oh, well, you know, Stevie was all right. Stevie did it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's usually not. It's not a thing that you hear much of ever. Like, I've heard of people who, you know, went to clubs and did ecstasy or other shit here and there for a little while in their 20s, and then we're fine. Like, you've never heard of somebody, oh yeah, I used to shoot heroin all the time, now I'm doing great.
Right. I mean, there's some people out there that can make it back, but I mean, at the same time, it's
I'm sure there are people.
That's still some very, very precarious. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The average is not.
It's not.
Yeah.
I don't like to base my judgments on the outliers.
No.
To think that I'm special and I'll be the one that's fine. That's like,
yeah. That's
a problem.
What kind
don't
of
ever don't ever assume that you're the outlier.
Was that neurotic? Is that neuroticism right there? I don't remember. I think it is, but I don't know.
But yeah, those are just no-nos for me. Just stick to your easy drugs, guys.
Yeah, stick to like the middle ground stuff.
The middle ground stuff.
And I'm like, yeah.
And get your shit settled and handled first. That stuff should be celebratory. If you haven't achieved anything, then you don't deserve it.
Yeah, I agree. Don't use it as a disassociate or a distraction from accomplishing things.
I just need to get away from the stress. No, you should use that stress to crank out something and get something done. And then once you got that thing done, then you can celebrate.
Oh my God. So before we came on the air today, John Fitch was telling me a little bit about how he was reading through his journals back in the day. This is like in a time frame like right before he got into the UFC, right when he got in the UFC. And we were just kind of like reflecting a little bit, and he's like, man, I was such a fucking idiot back then. Like his exact words were, it was cringe.
Yeah, it's cringe. It's cringe when you're reading back through your own thoughts and things that you wrote down before, and you just want to like smack the shit out of yourself. And yeah, man, nuts. Stuff like ignoring like, you know, getting a staph infection and continuing to like work out, or just crazy shit. And then like I could see myself battling with the blue and red pill stuff back then, right? Because I know what I felt, and I knew what I knew from observation and living, but then I still had the conditioning,
Mm, mm.
fighting. I was fighting against the conditioning. I thought there was something wrong with me for thinking the way I was thinking, and man, just following the how the relationship changed with one of the girls I was with through, she went away to school and we're fighting all the time. And she like cheated on me. And then uh, we got back together and like I got into the UFC and then the relationship dynamic changed. So like then she was like, the attraction level was back again. But I didn't put two and two together. Like reading through the journal myself, it's like, oh, we're fighting, we're having issues, get into the UFC, no problems anymore. Like, oh, go figure. Now it's really obvious to look at it now, but looking back at the time, I had no idea. And then there was a point in all of it where I was like fighting with myself after things got good. Like, do I really want to be in a relationship? Is this the right thing to do? And like I'm questioning, you know, I'm looking to explore my sexual market strategy, and then
Mm.
I'm end up
Yeah, you almost have at this point in time. You're like, oh shit! Like at a subconscious level, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm reaching
yeah.
maximum sexual strategy for a man. Like I have the social status, and now I have the ability to have unlimited
I
access.
had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things getting in my attention, a lot of different avenues and paths towards making money and business and all kinds of other things were opening up. And I'm sure being out and being around, the status was above. The social status is way above because of what was going on in pop culture. UFC just starting to get popular, people watching it, paying attention. We're getting to go to bars, get VIP service everywhere we go. So like there's this whole other dynamic added to the relationship. And then she's going to start seeing um like the other girls around that take notice. So there's going to be more, intersexual
Competition, anxiety,
competition,
love it.
right? So like her behaviors changed because of the intersexual competition. So she's doing, more stuff that's getting my attention more, making out with other girls and shit like that. So like there's a point where I actually wrote in the book, I was like, oh, I'm being stupid, I'm being such a dick. Um, I need to put her back on the pillar
Mm.
because cause that's what she deserves. like, uh, yeah, like I actually wrote,
It
I
sounds
need to
like
put her
if I'm
back up
if
on the pedestal.
yeah if and this is something that I'm seeing. I hung out with a whole bunch of dudes this weekend and kind of like helped them out with game and stuff like that here locally. Which, believe it or not, has been fucking phenomenal. Went out day game, did a little bit of night game as well. Went over and hot washed on some stuff. As far as talking to girls, showed them some different aspects. Fucking phenomenal. But there are some other guys kind of in the periphery, I guess, in a way, that were friends with some of these guys that tagged along and stuff. And I'm talking to them and I'm asking them questions about their dating life and where they're at. And one guy who's he's kind of a pimp in his own right, has gone through quite a bit of girls himself and has like zero approach anxiety, which I was really impressed with. And I'm talking to him. I'm like, why aren't you going up to girls right now? He's like, oh, I'm in a committed relationship right now, and I just really want to make sure I don't screw this up. He's like, I'm trying to turn a new leaf and be a good guy now. And I was just like, you're on the path of destruction right now, dude. Like, you shouldn't do that. Right? And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, the reason why you probably attracted that girl into your life is because of the behaviors that you're doing previous.
Exactly.
And she
So
assumed that you were this guy.
your behaviors, yeah.
Right. And now you're going to change your behaviors and you're going to act a different way thinking you're going to keep her. But the reality is she was attracted to the guy that you were and not
And
the
she's
guy you're
gonna, oh, I
becoming.
just changed my mind.
Right. And it sounds like, too, a lot of these
Oh, that
guys,
just happened.
the blue pill, and this is why, and a lot of people get upset at good old Corey for bashing Christianity quite a bit, but Christianity is blue pill. It is the blue pill indoctrination of what men should be, and what the ideal should be for men.
Well, the
And there's
Mormons, they take multiple wives. So,
right, but not anymore.
oh, they're not doing that
I mean,
anymore at all.
there's certain sects of them that will, but not anymore really,
Mm,
because they kind of got cucked by the government in a way where it's like, well, we don't
yeah.
do that here in America because we are Judeo-Christian, right? Um, so these morals into it and all this other stuff, and it's the belief that I was sinful, but now I found my significant other who I need to wed. She is my fair maiden, and we are coming together as two to make one. So therefore, I have to be this idealized version of what the masculine should be, and pedestalize her as my prize. And it's like, man, I don't know how many times I've done that. I used to do that all the time, right? I would go
Hmm.
on these phases. Like my past trend would be something along these lines. I would get into a um yeah, exactly. And I mean that makes sense too. Fundamental Mormons do polygamy, but they hide it in the wilds like the Amish do. Exactly. Um you got to join my team for multiple wives. Absolutely. Well, I'm just going to get fucking stupid loaded, and that's how it's going
Yeah.
to be.
Well,
But
we got to
where I'm going
join.
with this is
Yeah, we got to become Muslim if we want the multiple wives
for
legally.
sure. Well, the thing is, and if you listen to what
But I don't
Abu
know if I
American
can.
talks
I
about,
can't give up the stimulants though. I like stimulants.
yeah, listen, I don't think it needs to be done spiritually. I don't think it needs to be done religiously. I just think that we need to fucking create a counterculture and formulate our
Okay.
own kind of rules in our own
I
society and
have
just be like, hey,
roommates.
fuck you.
I can have as many roommates as I want.
And dude, no, I'm telling you this. The way around it is you hire them as an independent contractor, and you fucking like you write out a contract. Plain and simple. This is a business proposition. This isn't a marriage. This is a business proposition. Plain and simple, right? Islam for
I
the
have
win.
to talk to I have to talk to a whatever family courts lawyer or something.
Yeah, that's the only downfall. Is
Check that
that's where
out.
you're gonna get fucked. Is if you have
Because the
kids.
government would be like, nope,
Yeah, yep. So
you
we
have
might have to
children and live in the same property.
we might have to create our own
You're
island
married.
somewhere, or like turn a barge into a city
Mhm.
state, just like what they fucking did on pirate radio or whatever. Um,
Well, my idea would be to have you have roommates and you charge them all rent. That way, there's a financial transaction that's happening, so they can't say that you're domestic partners or anything like that.
mm, mm. Yeah, I don't want to live with them either, really. Like, I'll have them on my property
Well,
somewhere, but they're
you
not
have to
in
have
my
a large
household.
enough a
They'll have like
large
a
enough
guest house.
estate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like you have your guest house, and there's like nurseries in there, and that's where all the girls that all my independently contracted women to have my children will be living to raise the kids, and then I'll have my other harem in another wing of my what's it called? I'm not kidding. And then I will have
My helipad carrier.
seriously, and then I will have estates all over the globe, and I will spread my seed all over the world like Genghis, my man. Fuck. Oh yeah. So what I was saying is back to my blue pill days kind of deal, right? I would go on I would get into a relationship, and I'd turn into fucking blue pill fucking alpha, right? My lady, she's number one. I finally found it. I'm finally complete because, oh my God, I'm in a relationship. And, I was super selective, and it's like, oh my God, I found this diamond in the rough kind of deal. This is great. The reality is, of course, just like most basic ass white chicks, they're going to put on a front for the first 6 months. And then they're going to really show you their fucking fangs after that as they got you.
Well, it's like once you go from the alpha they're attracted to the beta, then they fucking hate the beta. They hate weak men.
Hello.
So you become that guy. But there are people who still want to get married. There's guys out there who still want to get married. So you just have to keep this in mind,
Right.
When you find a girl that you do like who adds value to your life, and you're like, okay, this person adds value to my life. I like having her around. I think she's, she takes care of herself. She's in shape. She's fit. She's feminine. She's going to do the things that I'm looking for. Okay, well then, yeah, you're going to have to commit to her level of what she needs. As far as you being in a committed relationship, if you want to have kids with this person.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have to remember to maintain your game and your frame the whole time. You have to set the frame at the beginning of the relationship, and you can't You can't change that frame. You can't be like, oh, she's my lady and I have to sacrifice everything for her. That's how you lose her.
I don't know if any of you guys are Game of Thrones fans out there. Are you a Game of Thrones fan?
No.
Okay. Tyrion is a midget, okay, a dwarf. But he's kind of a fucking pimp, right? He's all about just smashing puss, and he's drunk all the time, and he just bangs a bunch of whores. And the problem with him is he always falls in love with like whores, and you know his dad before, who may not really be his dad, even though they fucked that plot line up. They played a terrible joke on him when he was like 19 years old, and they bought a prostitute and pretended that she was a lady and that she fell in love with him, and they ended up running off and getting married. And then he came back and they like tied him up and beat him up or something like that, and then like raped his new wife, who was really a whore, who was really paid to do this for him in front of him and all this other stuff. So she didn't get raped. She got banged out and she was a whore. They paid her, and like she was holding on to all this gold that they were giving him, and it was just a way to embarrass him and all this other stuff. And then he got way into drinking and just banging whores his whole life and understanding women and all this other stuff. And then he was given the ability to marry a lady, right? Sansa, who he regarded as like, with all this respect, but just completely dropped the fact that she's a woman, right? And she really didn't want anything to do with him because he was an ugly, hideous fucking dwarf. And the first night that he was supposed to like consummate the marriage by having sex with her, he refused to. And he's like, I'm going to stand my watch over here on the couch. And he was banging this other chick at the time who he made her handmaiden and all this other stuff. And he stopped banging her because now he was trying to be this gentleman, right? And he just completely lost all frame and all respect whatsoever. His life was just shit. And it's so funny because like red pill truth just sitting right in there. Like this is what the blue pill alpha does in a way, right? He'll go through and he'll bang girls that are willy-nilly in his life that don't really hold too much value. And he's like, oh, I'm just going through a phase. Kind of like girls do, right? This is the blue pill for women. They're like, oh, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to bang chads on the weekend. But once I come across a beta, or a beta alpha, a blue pill alpha, hey, see you later, Conk. Take care. Good chatting with you. Once I come across someone that I see as relationship material, I am going to completely change my game. Completely change it. And I'm going to turn into this different person, this like archetype of what people are supposed to see when it comes to relationships. So they hide their full like red pill behavior in a way, and then they just mask it with blue pill. And that's what I was talking about too, with like that 6 months. That's the facade that people put forth. Now, this is the thing that we have to understand about women too, though. Women are fucking red pilled from the get-go, to be honest with you. Women are born understanding the game. They know the game. It's inherent into their genetics. They know how to game people. They know how to spin plates. They know how to fucking be seductive and deceptive, right?
They know how to get shit done without doing it themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, they are. They
Masters
they harness.
I would watch my ex just like a wizard. Like
they harness dark triad traits. They harness it and they use it to the fullest of their advantage.
Done by making calls and texting people and getting things arranged.
Yeah,
it's like wild. Like you don't actually lift anything up, but you get this whole thing built.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with their solipsism, their selfishness, their narcissism, where they're the center of the world. It's like, oh, what I want and my desires are.
Why shouldn't everybody do these things for me?
Right. I like it.
Yeah.
But men, on the other hand, we are conditioned completely blue pill from the get-go. Sacrifice, 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 empathy. Don't use your strength to get what you want, right? You need to kind of like jive with, like everything needs to be like even keel in society. You're not allowed to act out. You're not allowed to like really express how you feel. You're not really allowed to establish your boundaries and like go hard on your boundaries. Going after your goals and using people to get what you want is fucking evil and all this other stuff. And it's just like, unfortunately, that's really not true. That's not true. We all use each other. Like even this relationship that you and I have right now, at some extent, like 50% of this is for my own personal goal, right? 50% of it might be altruistic, right? Where I'm like, oh, we're helping other dudes, we're doing all this other stuff. But 50% of it is like, oh, I'm trying to brand myself. I'm trying to get more attention. I'm trying to get this out there. I'm trying to do whatever. I even just having this
Well,
conversation,
I'm
right?
fed up with people not knowing this shit.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
I'm,
Like your own,
tired
like
of I'm
I'm
tired
trying to
of
shape
people.
society the way I
So
want
many
society
people.
to
Yeah,
be.
so
Yeah.
many people live in a fantasy land.
Mm.
I'm just like, how do you people not fucking see it? How can you not see what's going on right in front of you?
Yeah. Bearded Adam says, but women do it unconsciously, so I don't think it's actually red pill. They don't have choice.
I think there's some truth to that. I think there's a lot of lizard brain behavior.
It's
And
instinctual. Yeah.
they refer to it as their mysticism
Mm-hmm.
or just the ways of women. You never know, but like in the bullshit, like we know it's very similar behavior over and over again.
I had a proud game moment yesterday where I used some of your mysticism as a means to pick up, if that makes sense. I played to her mysticism, and I made her feel guilty for not. I made her feel guilty for not being feminine enough in the mysticism side of things. Does it make sense? So then she had to like prove herself to me that she was. So now I got her coming over to me, right? And obviously it's using all that fucking silly astrology shit, right? So that was really clever on my end. I hate to toot my own horn, but you know what? Someone's got to do it sometimes. So that was cool.
Mars is in retrograde.
Yep. I was like, oh, you're a Sagittarius then, aren't you? And she's like, I got lucky with it. The only reason why I know she's a Sagittarius is because her birthday is literally the day after MLD's. And I don't know if you guys know this. MLD keeps talking about it every fucking thing he does, which is amazing. He's doing this thing called Body Fitness Max. For those of you guys that are looking to get into shape, he goes through like a very base level diet, exercise program with a trainer and all this stuff, full video. You guys can go to his website, Modern Life Dating, / body language, sign up for it. It's free, 100% free. But it comes out December 2nd, right? Tomorrow, right? And I remember him saying, I'm a Sagittarius after saying December 2nd. So this girl's like, oh, my birthday's December 3rd. So I'm like, oh, you're a Sagittarius. I'm like, all right, this is the game that I could play. And she's like, oh my goodness. I'm like, yeah. She's like, what are you? I was like, I'm the best one. She's like, oh, you're a Leo, aren't you? And I was like, what makes you think that I'm a Leo? She's like, I just guessed. And I was like, that's not good enough. Like, you got to tell me why you think that. I was like, come on, aren't you like, you're a woman, aren't you? You like, you know all this stuff inherently, don't you? Like, what made you think that? You have this instinctively. And she's like, okay, like, and then she's like, you are a Leo, totally. You have that disposition and all this other stuff, and you're just like so bold. I was like, exactly, yeah. I'm not a fucking Leo, guys. I'm not a Leo. But if she, like, such a good line. Like, when a girl asks you, I picked this up, which I think I picked it up in Higher Status, this book that I'm reading, or I picked it up somewhere else. When a girl asks you what your sign is, the thing is you want to know her sign first. So that's kind of part of the conversation. And then you say the best kind. And automatically, because these girls are so drunk on reading these horoscopes, they automatically know what they pair up with best. And that's kind of what they're hunting for in a way. So you say, oh, the best kind. And you do it like in a seductive way. And she's just going to vomit it out. She's going to be like, oh my God, so you're a Virgo? I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm a Virgo. Or I don't even agree with it. I'm just like, exactly. And she's like, oh my God. I'm like, so that means we match pretty damn well, huh? That must be the universe aligning for us to meet. Dude,
silly as it is, this stuff works, man.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
See, that was the old, that was the old version of me. I would like argue about this stuff is bullshit.
No, I play right into it.
No, science.
Play right into
everything that's real can be measured and predicted. And if it hasn't yet, it will be. Yeah, that's just a no. Like telling little kids Santa Claus isn't real. You're not getting a date doing that.
Yeah, I tried to do a little bit of that too. I was hanging out with the guys the night before, and we were hanging out with one of their sisters and her friend, and they're both 25. They're occupational therapists. So they're all proud of themselves because they have their doctorate, and they're like, hate to bash my buddy's sister and stuff like that, but I got to. Hey, you know what? It's all good. And these girls are literally like, they're drinking from like 11 o'clock in the morning, like pounding wine and White Claws like it's their fucking job. Like one of these girls is literally like 110, 115 pounds. Like would be like a pretty good looking girl, but she's aging quickly. So I kind of mentioned that to her. And at first, like what she tried to do, like you could tell she was super attracted to me. And I just kind of kept putting her in her place the whole time. But I kind of broke it out at some point in time because I have to. I'm a very opinionated individual. And I told her, I said, men aren't attracted to your degree. Men aren't attracted to your position right now. And she's like, you act like I went out and did this, for me to attract men. And I was like, well, you did. And she's like, oh my God, no. Like, why would you say something like that? And I was like, well, at least 50% of what we do is for propagating our genes, which means we have a sexual strategy behind almost every action that we take. Like even right now, me being on this camera right now doing this, 50% of my motivation for this is so that I get some kind of status, right? Something, which would make me more optimal to get more women, right? Hindbrain is thinking, spread fucking seed, right? Pleasure centers of the brain are like higher value women, more higher value women. This is the thing. These are the truths that people don't want to talk about. Everyone wants to operate on this like surface level of like, and that's where society is.
I'm not an animal. We're not animals anymore.
Right.
I choose my path.
Exactly. It's that free will. It's that free will kind of like obsession of like, I'm not controlled by these fucking underlying tones or these underlying instincts or any of this other stuff. I just do things for me. I do it because I want to do it. And it's like, okay, let's take into consideration your biology, millions and millions of years of evolution, life, the need to survive, the need to propagate your DNA. Also, not to mention your need for comfort, your need for happiness, your need for pleasure. Let's talk about hormones that also control and drive almost every aspect of your life as well. Like you don't have any fucking conscious control over all of those things.
Around other people.
What's that? Exactly.
They need to be around other people.
Exactly.
The more people you have around you, the better chance you have of survival.
But man, it's so hard. It's so hard to talk this. But you want to know what fired me up?
People refuse. Like I've had conversations. It's not just girls or women either that think this way. Like
I agree.
Had conversations with guys, arguments flat out. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not a monkey. I'm not an ape. I choose what I want to do. Okay, whatever. Ha ha ha. And they try to laugh it off. Like, okay. Sure.
Yeah, it's scary because it's scary though. It's scary to sit there and think that there's levels of your consciousness that are not controlled by your conscious mind. It's scary. You mean I'm not driving the bus? Right?
I've fully understood these things or accepted these things. Like life's way better.
It's freeing. It's very freeing.
Life's way better. I feel like I'm more able to make decisions better. Like it's not a question like, why am I feeling like this? Why do I have these things going on? What's just in my head? I'm not a bad person. This is like my drive to reproduce, my drive to survive. I can deal with those things and make better decisions because I can accept that that's an underlying driving force in my life.
I agree. Agreed. It's kind of like going back, and then we'll go forward to where I'm at again in the story. Going back before too, I used to think that obviously because monogamy was so forced into the mindset of you being a good guy, I used to wonder why I couldn't remain in monogamous relationships for so long. And I would also always wonder why I was getting so bored being with the same girl. Yeah, exactly. I would get bored. I get bored really quick with women. And that's why I really only, even if it's a girl I like, I only see her like twice a week. Because I realize this aspect about myself now. I have to maintain that distance in order for me to still be attracted to them. It's a weird thing. But it also is something that allowed me to realize, like, I am not a monogamous individual, which I'm okay with. Like, for a long time, there was a lot of guilt and shame associated with that. Now it's like, okay, well, I can spin plates. I can still have sex every day if I chose to. I could have sex every single day if I chose to. It would just have to be with different women or a lot of new women, which again, I am 100% okay with. It just takes a lot of work, which is fine. I'm okay with putting in the work, right? I have to maintain a whole bunch of stuff in my life. But I was always wondering this about myself previous. It's like, dude, why am I not happy? There's no way I could get married to someone because I can't live with the same individual over and over. Like the sex dries up so quickly that it would literally be like a worthless kind of thing. And I'd see myself getting betatized so fast after that, right? Just being taken control of by this woman. And I was like, ugh, I can't do this. I can't be neutered. Anyway, going back to the story here, the reason why I sank my teeth in this conversation with this girl is because, you know, I was bringing up the fact that I studied philosophy and all this other stuff. And then I just decided to move into business because philosophy wasn't whatever. But by nature, I am a philosopher. And she's like, oh, and I talked about the difference between men and women and logic and all this other stuff. And she's like, well, I'm really logic based. And you could kind of tell, like, as far as a woman is concerned, she was definitely operating like very much in her masculine, where she was very rigid. So she assumed being rigid also meant that she operated on the logic side of things. But I had to test this theory out, right? Okay, if you present to me that you're this way, I got to test this out real quick. So then I threw out the fucking hand grenade of, you did this because of sexual strategy, right? You went and got that degree, this doctorate and all this other stuff because of sexual strategy. And then all of a sudden, the logic went away and the emotion came in. And I got to really prove to her, in a way, right, just by her losing her frame, that she wasn't logic-based. She was emotional-based still because she's a woman.
Yep.
So no level of schooling. This is another thing that these girls try to trick you with, right? They think that going to these schools will somehow, some way, get them to operate fully masculine. And this is what we talked about on Rule 0 yesterday. We talked about how women's strategy right now is to become the best woman and the best male all in one androgynous individual. Does it make sense? And the fact of the matter is, your hardware,
everything they do, all their accomplishments has to be man related, but they have to, do it in heels and lipstick.
Right. Well, it's also the whole, I think it was Conk and I that were going back and forth in the chat, but it's this whole like yes girl fempowerment type of thing. Yeah, I'll talk about that here in a second, Ricardo. Let me get back on track. Where was I? Oh, yeah. It's this whole yes girl fempowerment type of idea of you can be a mom and you can be a successful mom that works and is a high-powered CEO and all this other stuff or holds corporate position. And then you can come back and you could still be you're still going to be a tremendous mother, and you can fill in for the role of the father, because guess what? You fill in for the role of the father because you just went to work for 8 hours and you brought home the bacon. That's all fathers do in a woman's eyes, right? They just go out and they bring home the bacon. They don't actually provide anything to the household as far as teaching the kids or, maintaining some kind of frame or discipline within the household. And then these women come home, unfortunately, that study that you sent me, what's it called? The alcoholism one from, what was that from again? Some high level foundation.
I can't remember.
The Betty Ford Foundation. It was like Mayfield Betty Ford or something like that. It actually goes into it. It talks about how the levels of alcoholism that are within women at this age. And then they talk about how the reason why women won't get treatment. And the reason why, like 25% of it is like they don't want guilt and shame at work. The other 25% was like they don't want to feel guilt and shame from men, like in the sexual market. And then like the lowest ranking one was their kids. Like their kids didn't even register when it came to like showing a poor example. So these women are literally coming home and the first thing they do is they crack open a fucking bottle of red wine, throw on the fucking sweatpants, and they go and park their butt on the couch, start swiping through Tinder and fucking Bumble to get some attention. And this is fempowerment to them. They got Gilmore Girls on in the background or watching Sex in the City. And being an absent mother is being a good mother, though, to them. Being an alcoholic is being a good mother. It's fucking crazy to see this stuff. I forgot how I got there, but whatever. I love it.
Well, they just pick them up from daycare. They've got somebody taking care of the kid.
Right. Yeah, they think that just being present is good enough, because why is that? It's just like everywhere else in our society. We just teach women, hey, you are perfect the way you are, and just being present with me, you have value. And it's like, God, no, it's not. Ricardo Rivas says, on Rule 0, you mentioned having a foundation of 6s after a day of unsuccessful gaming. When you're an 8 to 10, how do you pull a 6? Like, they already know you're too hot for them and they just want sex? Yes. At a subconscious level, and this is how most girls are with me today, especially if they're in the range of 6, 7s, and 8s. Especially the 6s. And that's what's beautiful about 6s, guys. So I want to tell you guys something. You know, there's this belief system out there that the hotter the woman you get, the better the sex is going to be. Why? Because, like, we are very visual creatures, us men. We sexualize women to the nth degree, and the 10s are, to us, the most optimal genetics for us to plant our seeds into, right? Because that means our fucking genes are going to be attractive, which means we're going to be able to propagate more genes, right? But the problem, guys, especially in our society today, is these 9s and 10s usually have to put in zero effort for anything because they've been given everything their whole life, which also means the sex usually is not that good, believe it or not. Like, you gotta be super alpha in order to get these girls to really put in effort in sex, because they are so used to not, and they put up a lot of resistance in getting uncomfortable because they've been so valued off of their looks that they're really not willing to do anything to sacrifice looking stupid. So they're very, very insecure. Now, I noticed this about 10 years ago when I was banging a lot more 9s and 10s. But it was a lot more sporadic. In today's world, I'm actually coming across 9s. I've had a couple 10s so far this year, but, you know, more 9s. Obviously, that's how the pyramid kind of works. And believe it or not, these 9s,
there's less viable men out there for them.
True.
At that higher level.
But because we've really sexualized and we've really brought into the mainstream like degenerate kind of like sexual practices in a way, like these these 9s are actually a lot more sexual. But the problem is now those 9s are having sex with a lot more guys, which also is kind of repulsive in a way. So it's really weird. Gross. Where I'm going with that though is having the foundation of 6s. It's nice because these girls, like these 6s and 7s, are far more willing. They're willing to come over at the drop of a dime. They realize your value, so they're trying to prove their value to you. One of my girls she'll come over and she will just start massaging me. She'll start rubbing my legs and start rubbing my feet. She'll fucking clean up around the house and do all, like, she'll go directly into her feminine because she's trying to prove to me her value. And then she'll put my pleasure above her own, which to me is very sexy, right? The thing that most people don't realize is game takes a lot of energy. It really does. You have to, you're in charge of how this social interaction is going and steering it in the direction you want to go. It's nice sometimes to have these girls where you, the game is just being you, right? The game is just being you. Where you can just kind of sit back, you don't take off the fucking hat, right? You still got the fucking, the pimp hand is still strong. But maybe instead of it being fucking condition 1, right? Like a weapon locked and loaded. All right, maybe it's condition 3. You got a magazine in and all you got to do is rack it back. You know what I'm saying? For it to go condition 1. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. 8s, 9s, and 10s are community property is what Jose Torres says. Yeah, absolutely. But my game plan in the future is to cordon off the 8s, 9s, and 10s. I think I'm going to have a harem of 10s. That's what I'm going to do. Seriously, because here's the thing. When being a 10 as a woman is a curse. It's a curse. And unfortunately, that's all they are, is just sex. That's kind of how it is. So I'm going to have them in harems. And then the 9s, the 8s, 9s, The 9s and lower are going to be able to propagate their genetics and marry off. You love my gun analogies. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You guys have any other questions in the chat? I love them. Anything for me, anything for John. It is true, the hotter 9s and 10s, you need a bigger playbook of game. What if she's an educated 9 or 10? Is she easier to game? No. That is the worst. That is the worst, to be honest with you. But here's what I'm starting to realize, guys, and I hate saying no, because like I said, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What I'm starting to learn, guys, is this. The more masculine frame that I have, and the more like I don't give a fuck, and the more shut the fuck up.
It's the less you care. The less you show you care.
Well, here's the other thing too. The more women are now able to read my bullshit meter. Okay? They're assessing when they're interacting with me, like the level of bullshit that they're going to be able to pull, which also starts to shed away a lot of their shit tests that they automatically jump to. The other thing that I'm starting to realize, I'm hanging around these girls. The girls this weekend were, I would say they range from like 6 to 8s, and they all had their doctorates and stuff like that, which was kind of boring and gay. But when they were around me and they were around the guys that I was with, and since I was teaching the guys some certain things too, just from our frame alone and kind of the way that I steered the direction of the frame and broke down the social mores of what they're used to, it was so awesome to see them revert back to their feminine. It just takes, like I said, kind of like what he's talking about. It just takes work.
They have the bitch shield up front.
Right. But once they realize that there's a guy around, who is, one, not impressed with their fucking silly titles, can see through their bullshit, knows their game, and demands femininity from them, it's fucking game over. And it was one of the most beautiful things to see. Another thing that happened too is there was a alpha female of the group, and she was a solid 5. I wouldn't even I'm being generous with a 5, but she was cool. Cool in the sense of like fun to kind of like banter back and forth with. But the problem was, obviously, she was playing Mama Bear for sure. And she was a full-blown feminist because of how ugly she was. And she was surrounded by good-looking guys. So her game plan was to try to be one of the boys, but then also at the same time use like her feminine mystique kind of thing to like put boundaries on us by being, this is one thing I noticed. A lot of these feminists, they use their toxic kind of sputtering as a shit test to see what they can do to get you to be controlled. Beta men don't operate very well when a woman like cries or shows like erratic emotion. They're like, oh my God, I got to fix this, right? And they revert to like reducing their masculinity, and they're like, I need to solve this somehow, some way. So when a woman does stuff like that to me now, I just see through the bullshit and I don't pay attention. I remove attention, and I do it in a blatant way as well. And I'll even sometimes like shame them. And shame is a tremendous tactic. This is something that I really want you guys to start utilizing, is shaming women. It's a tremendous tool. And this is, we talked about this on we talked about this on Hot Dude Party yesterday. I don't know who you are. Stop fucking calling me. They're like, hey, how can we start to revert this back? I'll get to it in a second. Hang on. I'll get to it in a second, guys. How do we get this back? How do we start to work towards this? And I just said the simple thing is shame. Like, men have been the ones that have been shamed for the last 70 years. We've been the ones that have been guilted and shamed into removing our masculinity, competing and being number one. We've been guilted and shamed into believing that we need to, lower our masculinity down in order for the sake of equality. And and it's their turn, so we need to give them a chance. And it's like, okay, what sacrifices did we have to do in order to do that? Well, we turned off our sexual strategies and we did a whole bunch of stuff. We've lowered our testosterone collectively. You know what I mean? We've sacrificed training our boys over the last 3 generations to become men. Like, we've done a lot of terrible shit to men over the last 70 years in order to make it a fair playground. And it's like, no. Like, And the other thing we stopped doing was we stopped calling women whores when they're whores. We stopped shaming fucking women having children out of wedlock, or, having kids with a bad boy.
Slut shaming, we've slut walks now.
Right. We've turned women into heroes for being single moms.
You look at like unwanted childbirths. Like that's like one of the hugest problems we have right now with society is, like fatherless children, people struggling, single motherhood.
41% of households in the United States today are
these
fucking single mother households.
These weren't problems before the sexual revolution. These weren't problems before birth control. Like, why was it like before they had birth control, like you didn't have any of these births out of wedlock? You didn't have these type of problems.
That's exactly what it was. Butte Queen said it.
You didn't need that much of a need for abortion even.
Right. Butte Queen said it well. Mama Bear, a.k.a. Jabba the Hutt, looks to destroy any chemistry or surveil the field to protect her girls from men. Exactly. Because her sexual strategy is to control you men so that you would feel guilty enough to sleep with her and give her a shot at alpha genetics. And she's going to guilt and shame the other girls into not having sex with you. That's what feminism is. Feminism is the angry who has shit genetics.
Sexual strategy.
Exactly. That's why I say everything is sexual strategy. Once you see everything from a sexual strategy standpoint, you can understand why ideologies and behaviors. Exactly.
They're trying to prevent the hot feminine chicks from sleeping with the hot masculine guys.
And the hot chicks are so dumb. They buy into this whole fucking girl empowerment type of thing. They buy into boozing every night. They buy into fucking taking millions of dicks. They buy into it all because they're consumers at heart. And that's why I say no one should be really with tens, because those girls just don't fucking know. Like, they need to be protected. Oh, man. Anyway, so Unleashed asked a question. Somebody else is saying, Corey, answer that question. Is it a good idea to get with an escort hooker for functional practice if you are an incel? I don't see why not.
No.
You say no, don't do it?
I mean,
I'll tell you my stance. Go ahead, John.
It's going to become a crutch. It's going to become a crutch like porn. Get out and talk to people. Get out and just put in the reps. Get out there, put in the reps, talk to people. If you have to go to a different country where it's easier to pick up a normal girl, like, I think you're better off not paying for it. It's too easy. Like,
I'm going to agree and disagree with. Yeah, I'm going to agree and disagree with you on this one. Here's my prescription for that incel. Number 1, start going to the gym, lifting weights. I don't care what you got to do. You need to put on muscle. You need to build the confidence through doing that stuff. You need to see that you can change yourself rapidly. That's why in my book, Live Your Best Life in 30 Days, I prescribe people the number 1 thing you should work on is physical. Because once you start seeing the results happen quickly, you're going to get on its momentum. Okay. Number 2 thing is start approaching women, get online dating, start talking to women. You're going to get rejected a lot. Rejection hurts. Rejection sucks. But once you get into it's like flexing a muscle. Once you get involved in doing that, you're gonna get better with it, and things are gonna start to happen. Now, as I just talked about, of having my 6s as a foundation for when I'm going hard in the paint for fucking 9s and 10s and all this other stuff. Weird. Okay. I have them to fall back onto. I would say for incels and people like that are getting their foot in the door, that are practicing this stuff and they're not making any waves or making momentum, I'm going to tell you guys, sexual energy is really, really strong energy, okay? If you're failing a lot because the thing is this, you guys got to understand, if you're desperate, you're going to come off as desperate. It's why in sales, people talk about things like commission breath. If you're desperate to get that end state, that end goal, sometimes it is better to go and do it. Now, I've never fucked a prostitute in my life. Never. And I'll tell you why. For me, it's kind of like canned hunting. It's like looking at, there's an old story about Teddy Roosevelt where he wanted to go and kill a bear, and people were like, oh, well, I got a bear chained up over here. And he refused to kill it. And that's why they ended up creating the teddy bears, right? But to me, the chase and the thrill and the fact that I got it on my own is the reward. right? The fact that I broke all these old molds and all this other stuff and I went after it. And are you frozen over there, John?
No, I'm
Nope,
here.
you're not. I'm like, dude, he hasn't moved in like 30 seconds. What was I saying? Oh yeah. But for these guys that are so low level, I've never been an incel, guys. I've never been an incel. And it's hard for me to relate at that point in time. Yeah, hang on one second. I'll answer that. It's hard for me to relate to that because I've always, even when I've struggled, I've never gone down to that level. But I did use porn and masturbation as a way to kind of deal with that stuff too. So I don't know what's better. And it's not to say I don't knock anyone for banging a prostitute. I don't knock it. I think prostitution should be legal. There's some parameters that I would put on it though, but at the same time, I'm also on the same side as John Fitch where it's like, yeah, I'm on the same side too, where you do run the risk of it turning into a crutch. And then you end up turning into a beta because all you're doing is using your resources in order to get sex, which is kind of gay.
You're not really learning anything.
You're not learning game.
Either.
You're not learning game,
You're not
period.
learning game. You're not figuring anything out. It's, yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with people doing it, but I feel like if you're not able to go up and find girls or get girls to talk to you, like that needs to be your focus. Right? Not the prize at the end. You need to get the reps on the other stuff. You need to be able to approach. You need to be able to be around people and conversate and put yourself out there and make yourself a little bit vulnerable that way. Be willing to fail. Go out there and set out to fail. Yeah, you're not doing shit with paying a hooker.
Absolutely. But at the same time too, guys, we got to remember like incels are the bottom 20%. There's a reason why. Usually a lot of these guys are not genetically supreme in a way where
I'd want to put money on the fact that these guys aren't putting in any effort.
Right. I agree.
Like I've seen some guys who are
like this Elliot Roger kid that fucking went off the chain, dude. Like that guy was a good looking kid. Like what the fuck was your, if he just had a fucking better mentor. If he just had a better mentor.
He was a blue-pilled beta, and he was doing everything he was doing everything the way the women told him to do it.
Right.
And it didn't work, and he couldn't understand why. I'm doing everything right. And the girls are all sleeping with the alpha chat assholes. So he snapped. I'm gonna make you all pay for it. So, yeah.
I'm the 9 has a question in here. Okay, so my boy is hopeless until he really wants to get out there. Here's the thing. Most men will never change until they choose to change. You can sit there and you can literally tap someone on the, yeah, you're right. You can tap someone on the head every single day with the rational male and be like, read this book. But until they reach a point where they're like, I want to read that book, they're not going to fucking read the book, nor are they going to fucking ingest the message in it. Let me keep reading it. Or is there a way I can kickstart his red pill somehow? I've known him for years and I don't want him to go down that road. I try to lead by example, but he's so incel, he don't even come out with me anymore, killing me. This guy used to be my wingman. We used to slay everything. I would say that he's dealing with a little bit of depression. He's probably going through a little bit of a dark night of the soul. Maybe a little psilocybin mushrooms might help in that case. That's just me though.
Probably doesn't have a purpose.
He probably doesn't have a purpose.
Probably playing too many video games. Probably watches a lot of porn.
Right. He's probably eating junk food, so his testosterone levels are low.
I think the
not
first
getting enough
thing
sunshine.
is just see if you can start getting him to remove some things. Like what are the big shitty things he's doing? How much is he playing? A shitload of video games? Is he watching a lot of porn? See if you can get him to give those things up a little bit for a little while.
Gents, I see you got. Hang on, let me cut you off real quick.
They don't want to cheat. They're not going to.
I force him to watch all you guys' videos. Forcing him's not going to do anything. Gents, we have quite a bit of people in the chat right now. Absolutely loving it. Do me a favor. Please do like this episode.
Like and share.
I'd also love if you guys go over to Jon Fitch's episode or channel as well, official Jon Fitch, and subscribe. Jon Fitch goes live every single day at 9:30 a.m. and he has some really good content.
I think I might have
a break coming up.
Hypnotist, not hypnotist, but
cool.
A psychic type guy. I might have some mysticism type person to talk to this week. So I'll set that up.
Commission breath, never heard of that. When spinning plates, is there a line you don't cross in terms of affection so as to not give the false impression that you want monogamy?
You just have to be direct. Like my thing is, okay, so you don't bring it up, right? Girls don't want 100%. They don't want to know everything. They don't.
Nope.
They want mystery. So you wait till
I'm going to let you take this. I'm going to go take a quick piss. Take it.
Yeah, they will come to you with an overt demand eventually. So you date them until they'll come to you and they'll say, hey, what are we? What is this? What are we doing? And then you have to be upfront and direct with what you're looking for. You tell them that you like spending time with them, and you're not going to go down the monogamous path though. And if they want to keep dating, that's cool. But if they don't, okay, cool too. Like you're fine with either one. You can't get hung up on them leaving or not wanting to date you once you kind of tell them that I'm just not going to do the monogamy thing. I'm not ready to settle down with any one girl.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to keep dating you as long as you want to keep dating, but I'm not going to stop dating other girls. And if they're cool with it, they'll be cool with it. And you'll see that a lot of times the girls are more okay with sharing you. If you're an awesome guy, you're an awesome date, you're doing things right, they're going to be okay with you continuing to do what you're doing. And if they're not, then that's fine. You just have to be willing to say, okay, we can just be friends. You have to be the one who's got the let's just be friends card.
I'm going to be honest with you guys too. I don't deal with a lot of these shit tests that you guys are kind of dealing with. Why? Where a lot of games starts at, number one is belief. So I always talk about mindset as number one. I'm high value. I know I'm high value, right? It's intrinsic. It's not from anything external. Just by me being created, just by me being me, like I know who the fuck I am. You know what I mean? Like, and the fact that you guys are red pill, like you guys are a cut above all these other motherfuckers out there. Like consider yourself, you know, Donovan Sharpe talks about it, the 5% or the 1%.
You got a lot of level of knowledge that most other guys don't have. And if you can put that into work and lift the weights and dress a little bit nicer and carry yourself a little bit better, the access of women that you have is unbelievable.
And you're not going to deal with these stupid ass shit tests. Garbage. You know, all these guys out there too, they're so worried about the Me Too shit and sexual assault and sexual harassment and all that other stuff. I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. You know why? Because first off, I know how full of bullshit these women are. They love all that stuff. They love being sexualized. Women are sex.
By the right guy.
By the right guy. So the goal is to just be the right guy and be the magician. Right? She doesn't want to know how you know how all this stuff. She just wants to know that you know it, right? So I don't worry about that crap at all. A great book for you guys to pick up right now is this. It's a book called Higher Status by Jason Capital. He goes over body position. He goes over tonality. He goes over eyesight. He goes over walk. He goes over gaze, right? It really shows you how to carry yourself in a high status fashion. And that's really what you want to be. That, like, you will defeat 99.99% of issues just from being a high status individual. Think about it. How was Trump able to go on air, even though this was way later on? How was he able to go on air and say, grab him by the pussy and just fucking brush it off like fucking Teflon Don? He's high status. He's a billionaire. He's got high status as far as all this other stuff. Women love high status men. They will let you get away with anything. And this is what his premise was there. They'll let you get away with anything if you're high status. That's what they're looking for. They want you to be that guy. I think there's more to that question.
You think the silverback checks himself like, oh, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. No, silverback does what the fucking silverback wants, and the women love him for it.
I'm at a new level of game right now, too, where I pretty much tell all my girls, or even just through my disposition, they know that I am not monogamous to them. They know that I have other women. It's to the point, I don't know who I was talking to this about the other day.
We're doing a podcast and live streams and shit too. So like, they can watch.
That's what, I have girls literally creating, I have girls creating Twitter accounts now.
Sure.
They're creating Twitter accounts and they're following everything I'm saying. And they're coming over my house and they're like, oh my God, Corey, you're such a misogynist asshole and all this other stuff. And then 5 minutes later, they are gobbling my cock. It's like, It's awesome. I mean, like, I am not making fun of these girls whatsoever. I think it's absolutely a beautiful thing. Thanks so much for the feedback. Been addicted to the pump for over 10 years for the gym. Cool. All right. You force him to watch videos. Don't do that. Let him kind of like, you got to lead a horse to water. And if he drinks, he drinks. It sounds like you need better friends though, to be honest with you. Get high level friends.
Like you need to keep leveling yourself up. Let him see how the success and the happiness and the cool stuff you're doing. And he's either going to be like, oh shit, I went in on that. Or he's going to remove himself from your life completely, and you're going to have to find a new circle of friends. Like,
I just watched the movie Good Boys. Go ahead.
Some people are afraid of greatness. They really are. They strive for monotony. They strive for average. They've been conditioned to think that being a level above everybody else is wrong, and they shouldn't do it. And they shouldn't want to try. So they just want to be frumpy and downplay everything. So,
Ricardo Rivas asks, but do I have to do a song and dance for these sixes? Donovan says to next them, shaking my head, LOL. So I have to slow play Witty Girls I don't even want to be seen with, LOL. Maybe I'm just not humble. No, that's the beauty of them being a 6. If she's acting like a 10 and she's a 6 and she's trying to be like, I'm talking to this one girl right now who's like
she's a 6. Like,
right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
With that, like,
it's when a girl tries to be witty with you and she tries to wrap you into her frame, you bring her right back into your frame. I'll give you a case in point. Online dating right now. After 5 interactions, I'm usually always asking for the number. All right, what's your number so we could better coordinate, kind of thing. If a girl comes back to me, especially if she's a fucking 6 or whatever, and she's like, I don't give out my number right now. It's like, okay, like, bitch, you should already know what the fuck's going on here. Right. There's sometimes where I'll just straight next her. There's other times, like, I like to play with it a little bit. And I'll just be like...
I had this one girl that I went on a couple dates with, and like, we'd already been on 2 dates, and it didn't escalate past kissing, really. And then, like, 3rd date, I'm setting up, and then I hit her up on a date, and she's like, oh, can we go early this time or whatever? And I was just like, what? I was like, yeah. So, like, I didn't even get back to her. It was done. It's like, nice.
Exactly. Like, see, this is abundance. This is a scarcity versus abundance.
Like, I'm not gonna. Okay, you want to go early, so you want to like dinner and then leave and then go somewhere. I'm like, okay, no.
Go fuck Tyrone later on.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be that guy.
If you want to come over late, you can do that. For the 3rd date, come over late.
Exactly.
But yeah, she got an ex.
I try to be I use a lot of these things when I get pushback and resistance. This is my sales side of me and my jiu-jitsu side of me. I try to figure out a way when she's giving me resistance to use it against her and then position it for my offense. So whenever she gives me resistance, I will do something along the lines of like, I was giving you the phone number thing, case in point. And she's like, oh, I don't give out my number. I'll say, I understand why you wouldn't be willing to give me your number right now. Right? Get like deflect her, or not deflect, but, deflate her kind of, her posturing. Okay. I get it. I understand. Saying understand to a girl is like perfect. Here's the thing though. I've been catfished before, and before I go on any date, I like to have a conversation and maybe even FaceTime just to make sure. Can you see from my perspective now? And then most of the time the girls will be like, yeah, I can get down with that. All right, cool. So what's your number? And if she doesn't comply with me this time, done. Like, fuck it. I've given you my last effort. That's the most I'm going to give you. But I'm telling you, this is like 1 time out of 10 that I even get any type of pushback. That might even be too low or too high of a number. Because I usually don't get pushback on that stuff because the frame is so good and the escalation is so good. So the other thing too is when you realize that you're high value, those 6s won't push back. So that's something that, I would have to look at your online dating profile to see what type of value you're portraying. Because the other thing is you're advertising yourself. And if you're not advertising yourself as something high value, these 6s are even going to read that. And they're going to be like, I'm going to push this guy around and see what I can get. Maybe I can put him in the friend zone, or I can get him to pay for some shit and do whatever, right? Because ladder theory, we talked about it a few episodes ago. I love this podcast, guys. Thank you very much, Corey and John. We love you too, Matt. Please do share it with your friends.
I gotta get going here pretty soon.
Yeah, you bet. Let me see if we got a few more questions and then you can go. Have you guys heard of the idea the cold approach is itself beta? No, it's not. Go cold approach women. Figure out how to get there. It's the hardest thing in the world to do, and you'll feel a lot more confident. Your thoughts, John?
Yeah, like that's one thing. Like I don't have a approach game at all. I've never to go out there and pick girls up because I've always been in a high status position. So I'm used to girls approaching me or my group. And I was in a 15-year relationship, so that's something. That's a skill that I need to pick up now in my later years. It's something I'm interested in,
Mm,
but I don't get a lot of time to do that. I've been on the dating app warpath for the last couple of years.
it's good stuff. I love it. Yeah, you should supplement your game. Here's my big thing for people. Online dating is huge, but it can't be your only source, right? Online dating, it's still just like I make fun of these girls. This is their little binky. Like I'm hiding myself. You're hiding yourself from social rejection, right? Social discomfort as well. It's very easy for you to sit on your couch over there or whatever and swipe and get rejected and be like, nah, okay, I can stomach it. When you're out in town, though, when you're out at a bar, the bar is the hardest because that is a compacted and everyone is there for the same purpose.
Yep, everybody's there
And there's a lot of people that are fronting, right? Everyone's trying to paint themselves as
everybody's fucking fronting.
Everyone is, right? It's super high. Yep, it's super high level shit.
This is my thing is like, especially when you go out there, because I was at some of the bars here in the Ritzy area here in San Jose, Santana Row, and there's the people who are there, and they're the regulars at that bar. I was like, if you have a lot of shit going on in your life, you're probably not at that bar every weekend or 3 nights a week, you know? Like, that's just not somebody who's got their shit together.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not a big fan. I just did especially with my boys here, we did do a bit of bar stuff, but we were out in PB, which there's a lot of walking around to do. And I like doing the cold approaches, day gaming. Day gaming is my favorite. And that's the best for cold approaches. Go to a high volume, high traffic location like a mall, or like a boardwalk area or whatever, where there's going to be cute girls trying to do whatever, shopping, all that good stuff, and just stop them and have a conversation and see what works. The Japanese bar. I'm the 9 said something really quickly that I want to address. He talks about his friend that's still kind of sitting in the basement. He's doing coke every Friday and Saturday night, and he doesn't want to give up on him because that's his wingman. But my question to you is this right now, I'm the 9. Is he really your wingman right now? And it sounds like he's doing a lot of low level.
He's your anchor.
He's exactly.
Sounds more like an anchor.
He's doing a lot of low level stuff, man. That's only going to drag you down. I had a friend like this just recently. He was my roommate at the last location that I lived at, and I was helping him out with game. I was helping him out with a whole bunch of stuff. Former veteran who was recovering from a whole bunch of shit, and he was really making a lot of progress. And then he just took a fucking downward spiral, like nosedive, just. And I was just like, all right, bro. Here's the deal. You're nose diving and you're tanking and I'm climbing and I'm chasing after my dreams. And the way that your behavior is and everything that you're doing, you're even starting to you're starting to become a financial impact to me as well. As a friend, it's my responsibility to cut this off. It's my responsibility to establish a boundary and let you know that your behavior is no longer acceptable and I have to remove myself from this. And you got to realize that that's what true friendship is. And it's the same thing, like this whole idea of love, like people think that love is just accepting people for who they are. And that's not love. Like real, true love, like your best friend should be the guy that's the most critical of you, right? I don't ever want just people that are around me that are yes manning me to death and worshiping the ground I walk on. I want people that are going to be around and be like, yo, dude, you're fucking up here. You're fucking up. Hey, you're getting a little chubby. Like you're putting on a little bit of weight, man. What's going on here? It's like, fuck, God damn it. They see it too. All right. Oh, God damn it. I got to get going.
Gotta be straight with your boys. And then, I mean, all you can do is be straight with them and then invite them along as you're making yourself better. Like you're going to the gym. Hey man, I'm going to the gym. Want to come? Hey man, I'm doing this. You want to come? I'm going to the bar. Want to come? I'm meeting up with this girl. She's got friends. Want to come? Like It's really all you can do. But you can't force somebody to level up. You can't force somebody to care about themselves.
Ricardo Rivas says, I don't do online at all. Well, first off, I want to say Matt Dubia says day game is king, 100%. Good stuff. Love that you're doing that. Supplement it all, though, guys. You need to become proficient in game in all environments, okay? And like I talk about with the pyramid stuff, the bottom of the pyramid is online dating. Build your numbers there. Get your rejections there. Get your game down as far as like your spit, your rap. Get it down from online dating, okay? So I'm a big proponent of it, but I'm not telling you just to online date. The next thing you should be doing, game should be coming from whatever environment that you throw yourself into. Like Ricardo's saying right now, I don't do online at all. I get numbers at shows and at grocery stores, even at work sometimes. I'm the waiter and I try to strike while the iron is hot. That's ideal. That is the most ideal. Your game should come down to whenever I'm in a natural environment, I can pull the trigger. Okay. But I'm talking about the pyramid right now of how, like more, right? So how it's going to happen more. Online dating should be the base. Natural game of occurring in your open environment is going to be above online dating. Next is going to be day game. So you don't need to go out and day game all the freaking time, right? You should just do it. You know, if you're shitty at it, go out twice a weekend and try to hit on as many girls as possible, work on it and all that stuff. And then night game, okay, clubs, bars, that's the top of the pyramid where for me personally, it's high risk and low reward, but the reward is fucking huge when you do it. Does it make sense? The other thing that I don't like about night game is obviously you're in an environment where people are doing a lot of drugs. You're spending a lot of money. There's a lot of social accreditation that goes to it, which is kind of shitty. The other thing is you got to stay out late. So for me, I don't like staying out too late because I end up feeling hungover the next day because it throws off my rhythm.
I'm an old fucking bastard now.
Exactly. But I still do it though.
It's close to 1 o'clock. I'm fucking, Yep. It's awful. Like I can't read the next day. I'm just shit.
I wake up later. I'm off my routine.
Hard or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
To recover.
And it's just, it's a lot more stress. And then again, you just run the risk of fucking like bar girls, man, like fucking bar and club girls. They're not, they look pretty on the outside, but on the inside, you know what I mean? But there's a reason for all of them. There's a reason for all of them. With that said, John Fitch needs to get going. I want to get going too because I need to go work out. I'm going to come back live at 5 p.m., guys. War Stories Sunday. I'm going to keep that going even though John Fitch and I moved this to Sunday. Keep that going for a little while at least. So please do come back and visit me at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard. That's just going to be in like 6 hours or so.
You can catch me tomorrow. John Fitch Knows Nothing, 9:30 on the left coast. I've dropped the price on my book, Failing Upward, Death by Ego, $1 for Christmas. Down beautiful. $1. So $9.99 for the book, $6.99 for the.
Oh, I thought you dropped it to $1. I was like, dang, that's generous.
No. No, you're not even allowed. I think you're only allowed to go like to as low as 3 or something like that because cost of printing and shit. But yeah, so I've got that. Hopefully, I'll have my weight cut book. Hopefully, have some progress on that soon.
Beautiful.
And then I'm going to be setting up some seminars. People can reach out, set me up for seminars from my website, johnfitch.net. Hopefully I have some of those done. And then in January, I'm going to start shooting my Fitch Smash online course. Take you from zero to fight ready faster than any other system.
Ricardo, just shoot me. I'm not doing Patreon right now. I'll get there. Don't worry about it. If you want to donate some money, please do click on the Streamlabs link or go to another episode after this or previous to this, and I have a PayPal.me account that I'd like for you to donate to.
He can go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Jon Fitch.
I'll get going with Patreon though.
A few tiers. I got a few tiers on there.
Mine is just go to PayPal.me.
I have a basic support tier. Sorry, I have a basic support tier that's like just $1.
That's pretty dope. Go to paypal.me/Corey Capella if you want to donate. That'd be fucking tremendous. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Matt Dubia, if you guys want to reach out to me and ask some questions on the side, please do go to my Twitter at Corey Capella and DM me. So follow me on Twitter and then DM me some questions. I like these questions because what I'll do too is I will go live with it if you want, and I'll answer your question on air without blowing up your spot and letting people know your situation. Matt Doobie asked a question, and when you night game and pick up one of these bar girls, there's always a chance she'll projectile vomit. Okay, yeah, I've had that happen before too. So lots of downsides. Anyway, yeah, please do follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. My next game that I'm trying to blow up on is going to be the Instagram game. So I'm trying to garner I'm not lying to you guys, right? I'm trying to garner as many followers on Instagram because that social status game is huge, and I want to be able to kind of help people out in that environment as well. Believe it or not, Instagram is the biggest dating site in the world. People don't know that. So
it is the biggest dating site in the world.
Yeah,
it's,
you got to throw around that big dick game.
Especially girls under 30, they're all over the Instagram, and they're checking your Insta for your social cred.
So I'd appreciate if you guys go over there at Corey Capella on my Instagram. I'd like to start posting up some more photos of me hanging out with these girls. I'll show some more stuff. I'll even do a few little infield stuff as far as that's concerned. I bet I got you too, John. I got you, Corey. I don't have social media, though, and have some personal questions. Email after I donated. Sure. Dude, just do me a do me a favor. Type in... Just give me, throw your email down right now, and I'll email you here in a second, Ricardo. And I'll wait for that. But anyway, like what I'm saying, go to my Twitter, go to my Instagram at Corey Capella. If I would actually prefer to, and here's actually the best place, Ricardo. I would much rather you go to the WarTribe.com and become a individual there. That's why I'm not doing Patreon. I would much rather have the real deal conversations with you guys in my forum at the War Tribe, where I have everything already broken down in topics of what we need to talk about. I'd much rather see you guys go there. It's $20 a month to get involved in that. It's fucking epic. You get direct contact with me. There's already a plethora of knowledge that's in there. I'm even going to start uploading videos in there instead of Patreon. I'm a little bit perturbed with Patreon. I'm worried that this type of conversation is going to start getting blown up. And then the next thing you know, they're going to start pulling people off of Patreon that way. So I set up my own website with my own vendors and all that other shit. It just makes life way better. And we can have a back and forth conversation rather than you guys just consuming content. So, Ricardo, go over to the wartribe.com, actually, instead of donating. Just become a member there. And I highly recommend you guys all do the same thing as well. Anyway, with that said, that's all I got. I'll get your email, too, when you become a member of the War Tribe, and I'll shoot you a direct email. So do that instead, okay? You guys are cool. We will see you Wednesday at 3 p.m. for another edition of this show. And, yeah, that's about it. Fucking A. See you guys.
Check you guys.